the thing is, excuse me. ここやると、yeah. This is much better. Okay. Thing is, we are exactly ourselves. However, unfortunately, we don't know much about what true ourself is, who we are, what the truth is. This is the most miserable the matter for us. As far as a human being, Shakyamuni Buddha, who was the first person realized who we are, what the truth is. The reality is entirely different from what we are just thinking about ourselves, what the truth is. That's the reason recently the very famous Japanese monk, Japanese Zen master, who realized exactly the same as what the Shakyamuni Buddha realized. And he just described what the truth is, who we are. Then I would like to just mention about what he just described, what he just instructed us, what the truth is, who we are. That is a kind of a correction of saying what the Inoue Jinen Roshi Zen Master again, what he just described who we are, what the truth is. Then today, I would like to mention about number 11, not thinking. What's not thinking is when we just faced this, you see, this video or this, or whatever there, when I just face this, we just simply just we become what we faced. This is not thinking. Is it understandable? Is it whatever you just face? So you just become you just become as you faced. This is not thinking. It's very, it's hard to understand what I just mentioned about. So, what the Zen Master again? What he just described about not thinking? He says, it is often said that it is all right to sit without any thought in Zazen, though I wonder what it means just to sit. See, this is just occurring. This is just happening in case of Japanese the monastery. There's the instructor or the priest or a master just said, just sit, without thinking. This is the way the Japanese monks just practicing Zazen. Then what the Jinen Roshi mentioned about this way we cannot just realize who we are. Okay, what's the reason why he have to just mention about this is, see, just sit is still within a concept, within a thinking. So if you just sit with just sit, it's a thinking. This, so that you always separate from what you're doing. Your way of sitting. You see, you're always separate from the sitting. So that's the reason you never be able to just realize who you are. Once you just become sitting itself, so that the thinking is not necessary anymore. So this is Zazen, you see. But what the Japanese the teacher or the priest, the master just mentioned about, just sit with without thinking. Without thinking is still always without thinking, just remain left, always left. Then the monk who just sit, or the monk who just practices doesn't end just thinking, always separate, always separate. See, thinking and thinking, once just thinking just they completely disappeared. Then the monk who just practiced Zazen become Zazen itself. Then he'll be able to just realize who you are. Once we need to become the things itself. Although we are just, as I just mentioned about, when I face this, I just become completely different. See, whatever I just face to, whatever I face, I just become this. Why I have to, or why we have to just become this thing? Why? See, it's a very strange and very the wondrous things. See, we don't do anything. We don't do anything. But when I face this, we just become this. When I just face this, we just become this. This is marvelous and very wonderful. You see, the reason why we just have to become this one is this one. When I face this thing is our true self. This one is ourself, not this one. What are people thinking about? This one is ourself. Completely different. You see, that's the reason we have to just realize that these things, as long as we are ourselves, so only one chance, only one opportunity we can do this is within ourselves. If we just pass away, there is no chance to realize what it is. So only one chance. This is a Zazen. That's the reason Shakyamuni Buddha or patriarchs just recommend us to the Zazen. Zazen is the most important things to do for us to realize, for realize who we are, what's the truth is. Okay, so it is often said that it is all right to sit without any thought in Zazen, though I wonder what it means just to sit. Although it's impossible to sit, just sit, without thinking. It's impossible. The thinking or thought is a natural matter. So although you just try to not to thinking, but the thinking just come out. But also you just try to not thinking, but that is not thinking is just thinking. So that so that it's impossible to just not think. Okay. Master Dogen said, think of not thinking. This is in concept. In concept, it's very hard to understand. Hard to understand what it is. Think of not thinking. With thinking, it's impossible. See, not thinking, not think, to think, not thinking. Can you do it? Can you do it? This is impossible. But see, that is the intellectual understanding. That is an intellectual understanding. What Master Dogen says is just think of what's think of the thing just coming up without thinking, right now, right here. When you face this, you just become this. This is not thinking, as I just mentioned. These things to think. This is to think these things. Not thinking is what I just mentioned about before. That's when you face this, you just become this. This is not think. So zazen, what zazen is, think of these things, this thing. So that what you can do is whatever just thinking also the coming up in your mind, just let's go then all as there. Then you completely just done it. See, not think of nothing. This is a thing. You see, whatever just thinking or thought come out in your mind. Just let's go then of out there. This is a think of not thinking. Is it understandable? Sorry to say, very understandable things I just mentioned about. But that's much. What we are just thinking about ourselves is completely different from what ourself is. These things are at the first time. At the first time, I would like to ask you to understand. Can't you see the things in front of you if you don't use your thinking? Before you use thinking, they have been reflected in your eyes. How about the sound of a crowd of human voices? Exactly same things, see? Without doing anything. You see, without doing anything. See, when you face this, you just become this. The sound, sound of the clouds just come into your ears. You just become the sound of the car itself, without doing anything. This is our true self. It's very hard to understand. I know much about that. Never give up. They have been just reflected in your eyes when you just face it, just the things just you face just reflect in your eye. Why it's become like that? This is a total question. Why we have to become the things we just faced? No reason. The reason is very simple, because what we think, we think about ourselves, never insert between this one and this one. Never insert, never be able to insert. That's the thing says, what we just think about ourselves never exists. See, only what we just think about ourselves just exists on our just thinking or thought. It's very hard to understand, even in a concept, but doesn't. If you just sincerely do that sadhana, you'll be able to just realize this. The first the human being who just realized this is the Shakyamuni Buddha. Then after he just realized it, he never just went down or came down the place where the people just living. The reason why is, although he just mentioned about it, although he just said what he just realized, he thought nobody just understand. Nobody understand what he just realized. This is the thing. So that he never just came down the place where people just living. But after that, some people just come up. They were just the place where the Shakyamuni Buddha just there. Then the people just ask him what he just realized. But Shakyamuni Buddha just refused it. Even just I just mentioned about what I just realized. You never just understand what it is. So he just refused it. But many times they just come up. They ask him to just they mention about what he just realized. Then he just they mention about what he just realized. Then one of those or two of those just don't understand what he just mentioned about. Then Shakyamuni Buddha, oh, this is the thing that you'll be able to, you understand what I say. Then he was encouraged to just mention about the things, mention about what he just realized. The people who just confused with had trouble with that. This is the things. This is the sense. So that it's a very more impossibly difficult to understand what the Shakyamuni Buddha realized. That's much our truth is completely different from what we are thinking about ourselves. Completely different. How much different is when I face this? See, you just become dead. This is our true self. This is our self right now, right here. Not this one. Not this one. Okay. Hi. When you go into a zazen hall, you notice the smell of incense, regardless of your thought. So see, as I just always mention about, when you just face this, simply you just become this. This is the same thing. So when you just the face, or when you just touch the things, the smell of coffee, smell of tea, whatever, then you just become smell of coffee or smell of tea. That is your true self. At that time, at this moment, not this. That's this much completely different. So that the Shakyamuni Buddha just said, oh, even I just mentioned about what I just read, you never understand what I say, even in concept. That's totally true. That much our true self is completely different from what we're thinking about ourselves. That's the reason we would like to just recommend you to Zazen. Zazen is, as I just mentioned about, whatever just thinking or thought come up in your mind, just simply let's go then as the this is totally enough. This is totally, although this is a very easy to say, but it's a very difficult to do. Difficult to do, but never give up. If you have a strong, very strong demand or desire to realize who you are, you can do it. You can do it. When you go into a Zazen hall, you notice the smell of the incense, regardless of your thought. This is what I just mentioned about. Watch carefully. Just like that, it is a life of not thinking. This is a life of not thinking. See, not the life of not thinking is anytime or whatever you're doing, wherever you are. You see, there is no one. There is no one. What we are thinking about ourselves, the self. See, nothing. No one at all. No one at all. See, the other day, the master, the Yin just mentioned about what our truth is, who we are is. We don't know much about. We don't know much about what we are doing, where we are, what we are doing, where we are, who are doing. This is our true self. Right now, we never be able to aware of. We never be aware of who we are, what we are doing, where we are. This is true ourselves. What it is. So this is the true things. This is true self. What we are thinking about ourselves is completely different from our true self. So it's very hard. It's very hard to realize this, but only one chance or one opportunity to realize this. We've done what we are doing. See, that's later. But before we recognize everything already done, without thinking, without person, without anything. This is the truth. That's the reason it's very hard to really understand what I just what the Shakyamuni Buddha just realized, even in concept. Okay, so just like that is the life of not thinking. The life of not thinking is the way of real life. Real life is what we are doing right now. See, without doing anything without what we just thinking about ourselves. Without self, we are just doing. This is, I know much about. very hard to understand. But we have to just realize because we are completely fooled by ourselves, our thinking, fooled by or deceives ourselves by thinking our thought. Entirely different. Yours with a function of your body, the making yourself to be a taste stand. You demonstrate the way of your own not thinking by thinking, to learn by the fact. This is a zazen. This is a what the master Gian just mentioned about the how do you understand the in concept. But what he just wanna just mention about simply or sincerely just recommend you to do zazen. What zazen is what I just mentioned about whatever just thinking or thought come up in your mind. Just let's go then of as this is zazen. Then you'll be able to just realize through yourself. It is important to realize that your state of not thinking yourself clearly. And unfortunately, we don't know much about this, so that we will just have a trouble, question on the problem. This is a causes the problem, question of the trouble. This is the only reason. So once you just realize this, once you just realize through yourself, you never just suffer. You never suffer from the trouble question at all, because what you are thinking about the self never exists. It is important to realize this, your state of not thinking yourself clearly. If you are only sitting without being able to realize that, who proves your state that is really apart from the artificial way of human being? Artificial way of human being. This is very important to say. So what we just thinking about ourself is the creation of thinking of a thought. Never exists. Never exists. That's the creation of a thinking of a thought. But what people just think about, that is the true ourself. That's the reason the Master Gian just mentioned. The artificial way of a human being. The artificial way of a human being. That's the creation of a thinking of a thought. That is not a fact. That is not a truth. That's not a reality. What the reality, what true ourselves is, when you just face to this, you just become this. This is a true ourselves right now, right here. Entirely different, different things what you're thinking about. What is name? And then, what is name so direct is you can say it on yourself. Zazen of the Zen adept is practice like this. So that what he just mentioned about, when you just let's go thinking was thought of as the you simply become so directly. See, you just become this without doing anything. See, this is a sok or direct. This the movement, this action, only there is only this acting or this action existing right now, right here. What we are thinking about, oh, this is in your conscious never exists. Only this one. This is Dharma. This is Dharma. This is Dharma. This is the truth. Only this activity or action. See, when I just clap my hand, something, you simply just become the sound of just this sound. Only this the movement or activity or the kind of function, the action just exists. None of us, others, what we are thinking about, what it is, that's those things never exist. Just exist, just only you're just thinking or thought. This is our truth. What is the name of Soku or direct? Is you can say it on yourself. Zazen of the Zen adepts is a practice like this. So the simply just thrown away the thinking of thought. So you just become direct or Sok. Then you can just realize who you are. That is why to learn Buddhism is not to learn Buddhism is not to learn Buddhism is to learn the self is said. So what you just why you have to just do the Zazen is you simply become your true self. See, when you do Zazen, you simply just become Zazen itself. Zazen itself is true yourself right now, right here. Simply you just become the things you just face. Then you completely realize who you are, what's the truth is. Because it is your own matter. Observe thoroughly how you sit. See, once you just become Zazen itself, what you thinking about the yourself or self